Hi, Kindred. I'm coming to you today with episode number 4. Super excited about that. Today, I want to talk to you about your more. What is your more? What can you do to pursue your more? Today, I want you to learn to pursue your passion with purpose and persistence. Be zealous in the pursuit of your God-defined destiny. Set intimidating goals. And what to do when your plans fail. I want to begin our session with a Bible verse. Isaiah 59:17 says, "He put on his breastplate and the helmet of salvation on his head. He put on the garments of vengeance and wrapped himself in zeal as in a cloak." Are you stressed and anxious at work and feel like your life is out of control? Do you want to work for yourself and own your time, but don't know what to do or how to do it? Do you have passions and projects that you want to pursue? Are you ready to follow God's plan for your life? In this podcast, you will learn to hear and listen to God's voice, turn your chaos into clarity, and battle and win the war against stress and anxiety. My mission is to empower you to dig deep and know when to say yes to the things that God wants you to and no to everything else. Let me help you learn to move forward and pursue your passions and stay emotionally healthy while doing it. If you're ready to ditch that unfulfilled life for the life that God meant for you, then you're in the right place. Hi, Kindred. I'm Mel, a professional woman, entrepreneur, coffee and Jesus lover. I've tried every MLM and other way possible to start my business. And after trying to be someone that I'm not for far too long and wasting a lot of time and money in the process, I finally realized those paths didn't use my gifts, talents, and skills and were not the path that God had laid out for me. I stopped listening to the world's view of success and started listening to Him and following His blueprint for my career. If you're ready to calm the chaos and find clarity to pursue your true passions and use your God-given gifts and talents and persevere toward your goals, then this is the place for you. Grab your coffee, notebook, and pen and relax in your favorite spot. Kindred, it's time to take notes and grow yourself God's way. All give more, learn more, be more tomorrow than we are today. But what does that look like for you, Kindred? Is it trusting God to turn your chaos into calm and clarify and define the destiny He has laid out for you? Is it forming a new habit? Is it going back to college? Is it writing a book? Is it changing careers? Which could be starting your own online business. Whatever it is, girl, take your place. Move into uncomfortable. Take a chance and fail forward. Just move. So first, pursue your passion with a purpose and persistence. God will show you what to do when you start working. Stop sitting within the comfort of the status quo and only conforming to the standards that are in place by a worldview. We've heard it said before, there is no growth in a comfort zone. We have to be agents of change and stop waiting for things to happen around us. To do this, we have to challenge ourselves to step outside of that comfort zone and let God work on you, for you, and with you to grow yourself in your business. Find your purpose. For church and college, I had to take a couple of different spiritual gifts tests. These tests, they would inventory my answers and give me a printout of my strength areas. I am now using those areas to fulfill my purpose. Right now, at this season in my life, I am quite sure my purpose is to coach women to make career changes and decisions based on what God has called you ladies to do. When you seek the purpose God has for you, it will be revealed without any doubt.
Your purpose and your passion go hand in hand. You also have to be persistent in the pursuit of your personal change. Trying once and giving up will never help you build stamina. Nothing worth doing is easy, and the enemy will use doubt, fear, and any other negative thought that he can throw at you to make you quit following God's plan for your life, ladies. I've had many doubts and questions about where God is leading me. I am known for my planning and organizing of everything. I make detailed plans. I even have binders with things. But rarely are my plans God's plans. But I don't quit. I'm not saying don't have a vision and goals for your future, but you have to be flexible and open to where God is leading you. Take your place. Sometimes what your vision of that place is may not be God's exact vision. He does give you choice, and He wants you to pursue your passions and the things that you are excited about, but He directs those steps. We have to be open to putting our mental model of how things should look aside and being very open to what God is telling us to do, because His mental model is way better than anything that I can ever come up with. And He usually has a much better plan or end destination in mind than I could ever have. His plans are so much more grand than my plans. But we have to be zealous in the pursuit of our God-defined destiny. Confucius says, when you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal as if it were for yourself. But then that's also true in the flip side. Don't just have zeal for others and not have zeal for yourself. Work as if you're working for others in everything you do. And remember, we're not working for ourselves. We're always working for God. So whatever you do, work at it as if you are working for God. Have you ever watched your child try to beat a level of a game, or if they play a sport, maybe make a goal or whatever the case may be? Maybe they're a runner and they want to hit a certain minute per mile marker or something. I don't know. But whatever it is, they will try it over and over and over. They change strategies. They get help until they succeed in beating the level or beating their personal record in running or whatever the case may be. We should pursue our passions with that same zeal. Kids don't give up. They keep trying. Sometimes they get frustrated, but they always go back and try it again. I'm an educator, and I have seen kids try and try and try to do things. And even if they get frustrated, they may step away, but they usually come back and they work until they get it. And if they want to give up, we don't let them. As an educator, I push them. No, go back and try again. So as your mentor or your coach or whatever you want to call me, I am going to give you this little push. Go back and try again. I have failed and I have gone back and tried again. When you have zeal, you pursue things with a lot of energy or enthusiasm. And when you're an ambassador for God, that involves hard work. And often it's easy to get discouraged and give up when you're being attacked by the world's view, of course. And when the enemy comes to kill your passions, steal your joy, and destroy things you've worked so hard for. Kindred, we have to keep that attitude positive, even if it gets hard sometimes. You know, it's easy to be on fire and positive and ready to change the world when we want to see something change. And we're working to make it happen, especially if that changes in our business life, our career, whatever. The problem lies when the change doesn't happen on our schedule. I have found that almost every time I want something, that God works on His own schedule. And no matter how much whining or begging I do, it'll happen when He's ready. And it happens in the perfect timing, not my time. However, ladies, God doesn't want us to just sit around and wait for a miracle or for things to fall in our lap. We are called to work and fulfill our purpose while we're waiting. We cannot be stagnant in our pursuit. God gives us passion to evoke change, whether that change be in our life or other areas. but he expects us to work for it. He isn't going to change things without his people working for it. You have to work with zeal and be on fire for what you want to see happen in your life and your career. Right now, at this season in my life, I am all about helping women define their destiny and pursue their passions. That's my passion and what I feel like God is calling me to do. And I am pursuing it with zeal. I'm listening to podcasts, I'm watching videos, I'm taking online courses, visiting websites. I know this is what God wants me to do. And I am making sure that He knows I can handle the task that He's put before me. He doesn't reward passiveness. Do you remember this story in the Bible about the talents? And the master was going away and he entrusted the first servant with 10 talents and the second servant with 5 and the third servant with 2 talents. And when he came back, the first servant that got the 10 talents had doubled his. He had worked for the master while he was gone. Sorry about that little alarm that just popped up in the middle of this podcast. That was for me to remember to go to the vet and get medicine for the cows. All right, so back to the parable. So the second servant had also doubled his talents that the master had left him in charge of. So when the master came back, he had doubled that, and so the master was pleased with him. The third servant did not do anything. He went and hid his talents, and the master was not happy when he came back. So the whole point in that parable is that the master knew exactly what each servant could handle. And so he knew that the first servant was going to double his. He knew that the second servant was going to double his. And he knew that the third servant probably wouldn't do anything with his talents. So God gives us these talents and He wants us to use them. And we are not just passively sitting by holding on to them or hiding them while we're waiting on Him. We are using those to grow His kingdom. So if you want to get more responsibility and have God help you pursue these passions that you have to show Him you're ready to pursue these passions and not sit by passively or not get discouraged when things go wrong. You have to keep pursuing. So let's set some intimidating goals. Goals that are almost too big to be attainable. Safe is just that, safe. Safe doesn't get you where you want to be. Let yourself be intimidated by what might happen if you move forward. If you feel intimidated by how big your goal is, then you're on the right track. Put away any reservations about not having anything to say or anything worth hearing. Start a blog and get your feelings down for others to read. Start a podcast. You can tell that I am passionate about podcasting. This is my second podcast. My other podcast is an educational-based podcast. Just seek an outlet to get your message out there, the message that you are passionate about. I have wanted to write a book for so long, and I have things on paper. I have so many Google Docs, it's ridiculous, with all of these amazing ideas. And I just could not get it to work out to where I could get it in a book. But you know what? It took me a long time, but then I realized that God doesn't want me to write a book. He wants me to take the information that I have that I'm wanting to get out there, and He wants me to put it in the podcast that I am now calling Choose Your Best Yes. And I am so much happier doing this than trying to get all these little chunks of information into a long-form content book. This is so much more me. I'm a tech person, and this is what I love doing. I finally let God mesh my passions and my interests with His plan for what He wants me to do with my passions and my interests. And beloved, we have to surround ourselves with like-minded people. Recently, I've connected with a lot of people on Facebook, and I am just loving all of the information and the feedback that they give me. There's a couple of different Facebook groups that I'm part of the Stephanie Gass community. If you haven't listened to Stephanie Gass podcast, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So you need to check that out. There are some new ones that I've started listening to recently just because we are connecting with each other and we're listening to each other's podcasts and giving feedback. And so connect with somebody who's like-minded. If you want to start a business that is based around health, nutrition, fitness, whatever it is, find people who are in the health field, the nutrition field, and who have their own businesses or Facebook groups, and connect with them and bounce ideas off of each other. We all sharpen each other. Iron sharpens iron, and we sharpen each other's skills and mindsets. And we also hold each other accountable. So if you want to hold yourself accountable, speak it out loud to others. Let me tell you, friend, if you say, I'm going to do something out loud and people hear it, you're going to have to follow through. So you can keep it to yourself and no one's ever going to know if you follow through or not. But if you say it out loud, or, well, I was getting ready to start this and I was like, you know what? I want to start this podcast. I'm going to call it Choose Your Best Yes. And so I'm starting to think about content, and I'm working through some of the courses that I got from the Stephanie Gass website. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to start a Facebook group, because once you do that, like, you become a little more motivated, because you cannot start something and then not be invested in it. And people will hold you accountable if you don't. But if you're stuck and you need help defining your goals, you can snag a session with me by emailing me at the link in the show notes, or emailing me at melvandevort@gmail.com. I would love to work with you and help you define your goals and your destiny, and determine what your destiny is that God is leading you to. Be sure to get in there quickly though, Kindred. I only have a few spots because I have other projects that I'm working on, and I don't want you to lose your spot just because you waited too long. The last thing I want to talk to you today about is allowing for failure. Not every single part of your pursuit is going to yield success. I have failed many times at starting my own business. The difference between me, however, and so many others is that I don't let it get me down, and I don't dwell in it. And really, failing is how we learn what to do and what not to do, or how to do something better to achieve better results. So give yourself grace for not being completely successful in every part of your career initiative. Craig Groeschel, he is the pastor of Life Church, and he says, give yourself room to rise, but permission to fail. That takes the pressure off of you having to be completely successful in every single area. We get better as we learn. I was not a great teacher when I first started teaching, and I failed many times at many different things. But I became better as I learned and was more seasoned, and I was mentored along the way. In the end, friend, it is all about getting yourself moving. Figure out what your more is and make it happen. Get your go on, girl. Take your place. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Choose Your Best Yes. Today we talked about pursuing your passion with purpose and persistence, about being zealous in the pursuit of your God-defined destiny, how to set intimidating goals, because remember, if your goals don't scare you, they are not big enough, and you're right back in your comfort zone where you won't grow. And last, allow yourself to fail, because we learn from failure and we learn to move forward and become resilient because of it. Please follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever platform you listen on, and please leave a review so I can get noticed. You can also join the Choose Your Best Yes Facebook group, where we are growing and showing some love to each other. I post tips and information, and we grow together. And I will be hosting some courses that I'll put on there very soon. Lots of other contests and content, and lots of other ways that you can choose your best yes for you to define your destiny and pursue your passions. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later.